The Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, an annual event in South Dakota, drew about 376,000 riders to its 77th anniversary in 2017. It began in 1938 as a meeting for motorcycle stunts and races, but gradually evolved into a mega rally for riders worldwide. Sturgis brings riders in from all over America, some from its farthest corners. Here you'll see every conceivable configuration of bike, from street rod to full touring rig. The Sturgis Rally is considered by many to be the ultimate biker magnet. Just the fact that there are lots of riders here attracts even more riders. Main Street in Sturgis is only for motorcycle traffic during the rally, and businesses take in huge amounts of cash. You'll see all kinds of individualism expressed in these bikes, whether it's artwork in the paint scheme, a cute stuffed toy, a powerful Vulcan cruiser, an American-made Valkyrie, or a cool chopper. You will also see some creative headgear, Sturgis pets, and patriotic displays. On a sidewalk is a set of memorial bricks commemorating those who can no longer be here. On a side street is a tribute to the rally in a full Sturgis mural. As you go cruising through the rally streets, one thing becomes clear. With so many adult toys gathered here, the riders have come to sample even more biker-related goods and services. The Sturgis Rally is a biker's shopping paradise. You can stop by Tom's Tees, or drop in on Big Al's and Bad Bertha's, or enjoy some pizza followed by another bar visit. Maybe check out the Biker's Den, hit the Stinger Saloon and the Old School Tattoo Parlor. The Hot Leathers store has some good biker merchandise, and right next door is a nice ladies' apparel store. Farther down is a set of biker babe outfits at Cactus Mountain. If you need to get away from all the noise and crowds, there is the Dungeon Bar. And if the Hot Leathers store is not enough for you, then simply walk over to the gigantic Hot Leathers tent. Across town is the Knuckle Saloon, with 2 big floors to hold the greatest number of bikers possible. However, there is one major item the riders come here to check out, and that is a brand new bike. Once again, the familiar vendor area shows its wares on a major side street. The riders oblige with daily bike brand excursions designed to tip the scales of the rider's wallet in the vendor's direction. Even Moto Guzzi, a make with less market share, thinks it's a good idea to be at Sturgis. The demo rides take off on a backcountry loop and return to their vendor tent in town. Group rides are also lots of fun and serve to remind riders mounted on a new scoot how much more fun it is to own the latest cruiser. Because these jaunts are carefully planned and guided by a corporate ride rep, they're usually both scenic and safe. Just in case things get too rowdy, there is a follow-up rider to act as a rear guard. As you look around Sturgis, one feature begins to stand out, and that is the persistent occurrence of gray and white-haired riders. You don't have to look far to find a gray and grizzled rider. They're all over the place here. This is not unique to the Sturgis Rally. As pointed out earlier, the demographic of riders is aging rapidly. Manufacturers are now fearful of losing their economic base of buyers. The inevitable passage of time will age many riders out of motorcycling. In some places, the biker rally simply looks more like a baby boomer gathering. Sometimes the riders passing by resembles a retiree's parade, which is becoming an established part of the modern rider profile. Market analysts tell us that the millennials are not taking up the sport of motorcycling nearly as much as the older riders did. The world of the biker appears now to be a generational nonpareil, one which occupies a singular and unique epoch in America. The most visible and obvious result of the aging biker is the number of trikes you see at rallies. In Sturgis and elsewhere, the trikes are impossible to miss. They range from the Can-Am brand with the 2 wheels in front, to basic bike conversions, to full-dress hog custom trikes, to even a bullet-shaped trike from a Goldwing. Every trike owner we talked with said the same thing, that the trikes are much easier for an older person to keep upright and stable, especially with luggage and a passenger. With more and more trikes appearing, will we see some Trike-Fest motorcycle rallies? In the days ahead, it seems likely. So whether you're pulling a trailer, hauling a trailer queen, or just getting lost in the sea of bikes, Sturgis will remain a major draw for years to come. Some have asked what the future of these rallies will be. The Sturgis Rally and its fans are not going away for now. It is a question that will answer itself over time. After the Sturgis Rally, we caught up with Ryan, a rider who is also an aspiring actor.
I had this bike since last October, so just about a year. You know, the motorcycle community is a great community. Yeah, you got your bad apples, but I think that's really any segment of society. You see bikers all the time, Toys for Tots, food drives, donations. It's been a blast. I mean, for me, motorcycling is not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. I mean, I live to ride, ride to live. Work at a motorcycle place too now. I'm more in like the parts and accessories side, so we can get your parts for you basically, and great customers, man. I mean, people are into their stuff, which I totally dig. Spend a lot of time with individual customers, getting everything they need, getting them geared up, stuff for their bike, and enjoy what I do. You take a trip on a bike, anybody who's been a rider for any amount of time will tell you, you can go through even an awesome area with good scenery in a car, and it's great. You go on your bike, I mean, it just opens up your eyes. I mean, it opens it up completely. It's a whole nother level. I mean, just like any other quote-unquote community, I mean, you're going to have all kinds of people, good ones, bad ones, everything in between. I'd say for the most part, motorcycling brings people together, and it's a unique form of transportation, but it's also a unique lifestyle, and I think that no matter what you ride, for the most part, I think that it's a pretty tight community. I mean, I kind of tend to be a little more blue-collar myself, blue-collar background, but what I think is cool about, that's one thing I think that's cool about motorcycling, is that there are so many different people from so many different backgrounds. I mean, see the guy wearing a suit and tie for work who, he'll gear up and get on his bike, during the week or weekend or whatever. So I think it's a pretty good cross-section from what I've seen, which I think is great. Been in contact with some great clubs. For the most part, that's not really for me, but, maybe in the future. But I think it's great that there are so many people who can combine what they love with, sharing that passion with, a group of other, like-minded people. Well, like one saying that I've seen is, you never see a motorcycle parked outside of a psychiatrist's office. Totally true. And another one too, you can't not smile when you're riding your bike. I'm always smiling when I'm on my bike. Well, except when you get cut off by those a-holes, but it's part of life. You just rock and roll and keep on biking.
A smaller but well-known biker event is in the California town of Hollister. Much of its former appeal drew from an infamous motorcycling incident in 1947 when a group of rowdy bikers roared into town and disrupted the quiet community. With the publication of disturbing news reports and a staged photo of a drunken rider, the name Hollister became synonymous with troublemakers on bikes. The 1953 Marlon Brando movie, The Wild One, was loosely based upon the type of hooligans portrayed by the press in the 1947 incident. Today, Hollister means going in for a good time with your riding friends and a country road back exit on a rural highway to head south into the hills. We spoke with Tom, another rider who got his start on the Japanese brands popular in the 1970s.
When I was in high school, I got my first motorcycle. It was a 400 Kawasaki. Went to a dealer and purchased one. It was a used 75 Kawasaki 400. All through junior and senior year of high school, and then I drove it from New Jersey to California. I was in the military, so I had a certain amount of time to make it across. I was going to be stopping in Green River, Wyoming to visit friends, so I just came across on Highway 80 all the way across. Took 3 days to get from New Jersey to Green River, Wyoming, stopping every 100 miles for gas. I had a sissy bar on the back of my bike, and I put my my duffel bag, because from the Navy. I kind of just bungee corded it to the sissy bar and So that's what I took with me. Well, I wanted a mode of transportation once I got to California, so that's why I brought it. It was Camp Pendleton, which was over by Oceanside, California. Yeah, I had to go through a driver motorcycle training course for the base before I could drive it on the base legally. I was much younger then, so I didn't have much money being in the military, so I just kept driving and fell asleep about 3 times. I didn't crash. Maybe it was kind of a nod off kind of a thing, but on the 3rd time I said, I think I just better pull over, and so I just pulled over on the side of Highway 80 and put the bike up on its center stand and laid against my duffel bag and put my feet up on the handlebars and had a nice nap right there on the side of the freeway. It was at the end of August. So what had happened was when I was going through Nebraska, it was blazing hot. And then right at the Nebraska-Wyoming border, once I entered into Wyoming, it was rain and hail. So I went from burning up one day to freezing the next. When you're young, you just do it. You don't think about mountains or deserts. You just go for it.
Motorcycle touring can bring many excellent opportunities for educational stops. We rode out to the Reptile Gardens in Rapid City, down the road from Sturgis. Some other riders were also present for this attraction. Our first stop inside was the American bald eagle, safely behind a glass barrier. Next came the giant tortoises in a dirt pen. A separate enclosure housed more tortoises in a pond, which they made full use of. Nearby was Prairie Dog Town, a unique and interactive display for these lively rodents. This exhibit was clearly the most popular with the children at the gardens, as the playful prairie dogs were a cute show all of their own. After the prairie dogs was the snake exhibit. This stop came with a snake handler who gave a good lecture on these creatures.
But do you guys have any questions so far? Is it poisonous? No. This is a non-venomous snake. This guy will squeeze you. He gives great hugs. So they're kind of to die for. But yeah, we'll get to the venomous snakes next. Any other questions? Concern? No concern. All right, so go ahead. Put this guy away. Now this one in particular is called a mangrove snake. It comes from tropical Asia as well. But seeing as it is a rear-fanged snake, they don't have the ability to truly inject their venom. Instead, a snake has very large teeth. There are then grooves or channels down the sides of their teeth, so they have to bite their prey, hang on to it until that venom has time to run out of the glands, down the channels, and into the wound. Now it is kind of easy to imagine how venom systems could have evolved if you do realize that even your deadliest forms of venom, they're simply a modified form of saliva. So not only does it aid in killing the prey, it also helps with digesting it. Now rattlesnakes are always going to rattle before they strike, unless they decide to strike first and rattle later. These guys, they can strike and not rattle. Rattle and not strike, the two are not related at all. If you want to think about it, there's no animal out there of any kind that needs permission from its butt to go ahead and bite you. Another one was from a little girl. She was sitting over here in the front row. She told me to hear that rattling sound, you should just lock and load.
Next door was the alligator and crocodile exhibit, where these gigantic reptiles enjoyed snoozing in the sunshine and a shallow pond for cooling off. Large glass panels separate the visitors from these animals with good reason. On the way to the aviary, a young worker displayed a python snake. The aviary had 2 colorful macaws perched inside in a habitat of tropical foliage. We spoke with Terry Phillip, who manages the reptile gardens.
I'm the curator of reptiles. You know, it sounds really exciting when you manage a large population of potentially dangerous reptiles, but realistically, my job is just very much that, a job. It's a dedication to a group of animals that is typically fairly misaligned and most people don't appreciate. But once you come to learn a little bit about them, they're really quite an amazing group of animals. But I spend my week for the most part. I do a great deal of feeding, cleaning, managing staff. Working with the park. Working with the visitors and the guests. And it's really just a quite busy job, but it really does focus around the animal husbandry and care, conservation, education, things of that nature. Animals can be sold in this country for profit. We're not in that market. We work with animals that are specifically designed for our exhibit purposes, conservation programs, and other use by other zoological facilities, not just in this country, but across the world. I do zoo-to-zoo transfers and breeding loans, from here to Moscow, from here to Australia, we work worldwide, with the like-minded individual societies and zoological programs in order to produce, quality bloodlines, that are not terribly inbred. We want to work with, conservation both in situ and ex situ. And so, we really do a lot of work with other facilities. But we don't buy and sell animals, from the market or, private people or anything of that nature. We really do try to stick, with other like-minded zoological facilities. This is our 80th year. It is a family-owned business. It's working on its third generation, transition at the moment. But yeah, 80 years. We've been here longer than Mount Rushmore.
In the former mining town of Lead, South Dakota, is the mineral site known today as the Sanford Lab Homestake Mine. The extraction of ore from this location began in the mid-1870s and continued for 126 years. Exhibits include an elevator that transported miners and a schematic showing the structure of the shafts. Visitors can watch videos telling the story of the Homestake Mine. Today, the mine is used for scientific experiments, as in this dark matter project from 2013 to 2016. One item you won't want to miss while visiting Sturgis is the 1880 Railroad in Hill City. This train draws riders just as well as the other historic sites around the rally. The magnificent railroad line follows the old route from Hill City to Keystone, South Dakota, about a 1-hour trip. The original route serviced the mills and mines between the two cities back in the 1880s. The train ride is a scenic one, crossing through wooded regions and green meadows. Occasionally you will pass by a country estate, or even one under construction. At nearly every road juncture, you'll see riders from Sturgis enjoying an afternoon countryside run. Along the way, you'll also see various sites set up by the surrounding community. Once the train arrives in Keystone, it needs a fresh infusion of water and have its critical joints lubricated. The locomotive never fails to gather a crowd of admirers, and bikers will dismount for a closer look when they see it. The railroad was reinstated in 1957 by some rail enthusiasts, and the company now owns 3 of these locomotives for train rides. Returning from Keystone, you'll view more spectacular scenery, get a good side window view of the train, pass by more bikers, and then pull back into the main station. At the depot, once again, there are interesting implements of 19th century railroading and a museum adjacent to the main station. The museum houses an old caboose and artifacts of bygone railroading days. One other popular destination is the historic town of Deadwood, famous for its authentic Gold Rush era architecture. The nearby Mount Moriah Cemetery has graves of Old West legends such as Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane. Deadwood has all kinds of gambling halls, saloons, museums, eateries, hotels, historic sites, and even guided tours out to surrounding areas if you want to explore farther. As you can see from this video, the first challenge is finding a parking spot. The Mammoth site, located in Hot Springs south of Sturgis, is a definite must-see for the curious biker. This impressive paleontology site was discovered in 1974 when a bulldozer uncovered a mammoth tusk while moving dirt for a housing development. To date, the skeletons of 61 mammoths have been identified, 58 of them Columbian mammoths and 3 of them woolly mammoths. Other Ice Age mammal remains have also been identified. The mammoths had entered a hot spring pond that apparently had slippery sides, trapping the animals until they died. Their carcasses ended up on the bottom, awaiting rediscovery 26,000 years later. A docent gives a guided tour of the site. At the top of the skeleton is the shoulder blade. Then going down from there is the spine. The ribs are visible on both sides, and at bottom is the pelvis and both leg bones. There is mounted a Columbian mammoth skeleton and schematics representing the relative sizes of the woolly and Columbian mammoths.
Justin Wilkins. So this is the animal we call Sinbad that we've pulled in bones from roughly similar aged individuals from around the country to put this skeleton together to be a good representation for people who come through the mammoth site of what a full-size Columbian mammoth skeleton looks like. So what's pretty important about this is as we're looking at the tusks, we notice that compared to, say, a woolly mammoth, these tusks are curved, but they're straighter than a woolly mammoth. And that may be due to a couple different things. Could be due to the environment that's causing these animals to have straighter tusks that are more useful for moving around the environment, breaking down trees or pulling up shrubs, things like that they would do to access food. Could also be greater amounts of abrasion on their tusks or increased fighting that they're doing between males for females. Okay? So what we're missing right here, people always ask me, where's the trunk bone? Well, there is no bone in the trunk. The trunk of a mammoth and elephants is all muscle, and it's related to the big hole right up in the center of the skull there. That's the nasal cavity, where the nose is. So all that muscle, over 300 muscles attached way back up there. Okay, so we've got all this, and that would be probably down to about where my stomach is. Okay, so that animal can put his head up and down, pull vegetation into his mouth from the ground, and then that's really the business end of this mammoth. He's going to have a grinding factory up there, these massive, massive molars, much like our molars, but they're so big, they take up 1/4 of his mouth apiece. And they're coming in from the back instead of the top or the bottom like our teeth do. So he's constantly replacing those teeth because he's eating a very tough variety of food, that being grass. People don't think of grass as being tough because you can just walk outside and pluck a blade and it's like, oh yeah, I just tore it apart. These animals have to deal with that grass, which actually has a whole lot of mineral on its surface called silica. And they're putting that silica on to deter animals like our mammoths and horses and bison from eating that grass. So elephants have developed this strategy, and mammoths have too, of getting these very big teeth with a whole lot of enamel and cementum in them to deal with that tough, abrasive food that they're eating. And they have to eat a lot of food. They're eating up to and probably over 500 pounds of grass a day, plus other vegetation when they can find it. So these animals are really, really efficient for walking around on the landscape. You'll notice he's got really, really long front legs and slightly shorter back legs. This makes him a little bit more efficient for walking across the landscape. So he can go a long, long distance, probably 50 to 100 miles in the course of a week or 2 weeks, just roaming around. Studies have shown that these animals have hundreds of miles of range that they rotate through. But we need to know exactly how that's happening in the Black Hills. That's one of our major research questions with the mammoth site. Where are these mammoths coming from? Are we getting different mammoth populations interacting here, or is it just one mammoth population? So that's one of the values of our site here. And we also have primarily young male mammoths. So that's going to tell us about social structure of these animals.
A side display room shows a short-faced bear, a juvenile mammoth skeleton and reconstruction, and also an adult reconstruction. And then finally, for all of the Sturgis rally goers, there is a gift shop with biker mammoth apparel. You won't easily forget your visit to this remarkable site. The tradition of biker games comes with it the idea of challenging a rider's navigational skills rather than putting him into a street race. So here we have a deceptively simple game, riding the plank. It apparently is harder than it looks. An appreciative crowd watches from a safe distance. Sometimes it takes a second pass to get it right. This event, known as the Weenie Bite, is popular at many biker gatherings. The challenge for rider and passenger is obvious. Sometimes it looks like you'll get a bite. A second pass might give you better results. At the Run to the Pines event, one sure way to get some rec time is a game of horseshoes. Afterward, you can enjoy some good home cooking from the hill country of the California Sierras. You can take part in a raffle, or even get a dance with that special gal you've had a crush on all summer. These perks make a great riding day even better. Big Bike Weekend, held in Shasta County, is a regional draw for riders in Northern California. The 2016 rally was rained out, so folks stayed inside. But there were still plenty of indoor attractions, including biker jewelry, good DJ music, motorcycle insurance, biker gifts, local clubs, and beautiful rides for the display floor. The weightlifting competition had a good crowd, featuring several stages of deadlifts in pairs and in singles. On the banks of the Kings River at Lindy's Landing and Campground is the End of Summer Super Bash in the city of Reedley, California. This laid-back location is ideal for relaxing on a hot summer's day in the waning days of the warm season. From morning to afternoon, loads of bikers head down and ride into the campground. There is plenty of biker merchandise to check out, and the riders take time to tour a hot rod car show that disappoints no one.
Who do we got up next for round
Later in the day are the biker games. First is the beer keg race, and then the tire obstacle course race.
For the grand prize in this event, on 3. 1, 2, 3! Oh, no, it's looking good, it's looking good. It's looking good, it's keeping straight. And our champion, turn around at the end and make
Both of these thoroughly test the coordination skills of the rider.
wins. On 3. 1, 2, 3! Oh, it's looking good, it's looking good. Oh. Get around. Caleb's out back on the same side. First one back wins. On 3. 1, 2, 3! Oh, it's tossing that bike around. Here we go.
On your marks, get set, go!
At the Jubilee Campout in Cottonwood, California, a reverse race is held that takes nerves of steel. And these are the Slow Rider races. It may not look like much until you get on your bike and try it.
Get set, go! Cheer 'em on, everybody, cheer 'em on!
This first round shows just how much of a challenge it is.
Get set, go! Cheer 'em on, everybody, cheer 'em on!
Round 2, and one rider puts his foot down early. Round 3 gave us a demo of true balance. The finals pitted the top 2 slow riders.
You guys are going too fast, you might get it
Riders line up at the registration table for the Run to the Pines. This event is courtesy of the Harley Owners Group and Harley-Davidson dealership in Jamestown, California. The ride takes you from the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains eastward up the higher elevations to a beautiful campground. The Run to the Pines benefits local charities and is well attended every year. Here, the riders get themselves ready for the first stage. Then they head out in groups. One group is the Lost Riders Motorcycle Club, based in Stockton, California. Another is the Punishers Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club. We caught up with Charles Tyler, a member of the Lost Riders.
Just wanted to kind of reach out, tell everybody that we do a big crab feed usually in March, and that we raise it for the Allen Short Center in Stockton, and it goes to a good cause. It's for adult students that have Down syndrome and other students that have other issues that the government doesn't fund that. So after they turn 18, we kind of help take care of them a little bit. We've raised enough money to buy them a brand new bus, so they can go places, field trips. We raise money for them for paint supplies and stuff like that, so the teachers can give them projects to do. So that's kind of what the club's for. We're a group of people that have been together a long time. We're all friends, and we ride our Harleys and help out where we can. We've been doing it about 11 years now. Well, with the Allen Short Center, I know we've probably around over $20,000. That's just been, with them, we've been doing it for about 5 years now. So, and it might be more than that, I'm not sure. But, it's a good cause.
After the first stage uphill, riders stop at Diamond Jim's Lounge. The lounge is inside the Miwok Village on Highway 108. It's a warm day in the mountains, so riders head for the side patio. After some refreshments, riders hit the road for the final stop on the run. The Run to the Pines endpoint is Dardanelle, a quaint and picturesque location near the summit of the Sierra Mountains. Here, the riders relax and enjoy a barbecue lunch. A Harley-Davidson Street 750 model is raffled off as the day's bike prize. In the city of Fresno, California, riders gather for a group portrait. They are at Terry's House, a hospitality home for the families of critical care patients. If a patient's family has to come from out of town while the loved one recovers, Terry's House provides a place to stay that is caring and supportive. You can see the leader of this ride, a lady biker at far left known as Hell Dog. Here, she's directing the riders to pose for a photographer. The True Heart Mystery Ride acts as a benefit event for the facility and draws a good stable of bikers. That's Hell Dog on the right, giving the thumbs up for departure. The riders head out, and even the latecomers make an effort to catch up. One rider, to our delight, left his 1950s Indian Chief Roadmaster in the parking lot. But all of them will likely be back next year. The Sierra Moonshine Run in Coarse Gold, California is an annual benefit ride. It is for the volunteer fire departments of Coarse Gold and Yosemite Lakes Park, both in Madera County. The host staging area is the Coarse Gold Historic Village, and Jima and Papa's Biker Gear Store is the hub of activity for the event. This shop for riders is a firefighter supporter and also a discount retailer. The Sierra Shadowcasters is the organizing group for the event, and their headquarters is right here in Coarse Gold. After a rider orientation and rundown of the route, the riders mount up and head out. The gravel surface in the parking area made it a challenge to get going. There was one more caveat. The staging area was at a major highway juncture. A second group departs, and this one creates a logjam upon exit. No ride is perfect, just remember. The rider in the foreground is trying to tell his companions that they've taken the wrong road. After a while, they all turn around and come back. They all eventually get out, and these riders got the directions right. Every Christmas season, Jima and Papa's hosts a Christmas toy giveaway for underprivileged children in the Coarse Gold area. The store's owner, Mitchell Rigglehuth, oversees the event, and his friend Bill Hudspeth plays the part of Biker Claus. Many youngsters who might not get anything for Christmas receive presents at this charity for kids. Some little ones are a bit shy seeing Biker Claus instead of Santa, but as the morning goes by, they seem to accept him. After all, he is giving them toys. In a rural part of Tulare County is a cozy horse haven and picnic grounds that is being rented today. A young boy named Ollie is fighting cancer, and the biker group Riding for a Reason is staging a benefit ride to help this little guy and his caring family. Even the Tulare County Fire Department stepped up and brought out a big shiny fire engine, which any small boy would appreciate. After a couple of early arrivals come in, the rest of the group converges on the parking lot. Before the final dismount, they rev their engines for Ollie. The riders have a nice barbecue lunch with Ollie and his family and enjoy a local blues band. We spoke with the founder and leader of Riding for a Reason.
My headquarters here in Visalia, California. Riding for a Reason is a nonprofit organization, and we help families that with terminal illnesses. It doesn't matter if it's adult, children. We want to help the community out. Today's prize for is for a little, well, he was 6 years old till yesterday's little 7-year-old boy named Ollie. He has cancer, and we all fell in love with him, and we are riding for him and his family today. Everything that we make today off of all our raffle prizes, the people that paid for the ride, every penny goes to the family. Started about a year ago. A couple of friends got together, started talking about it, and this is our 4th successful run now that we have had. We'll do wherever we need to go. We did one little run for a little girl that was in Atascadero. So we go where we needed. Children and adults. Our last run was for a gentleman, Mr. Hall, that we did for him. I believe we got probably about 12 members right now, but we have all kinds of volunteers. And our vendors, we love them all. They all donate. Everybody by Visalia, from Save Mart to the restaurants, everybody wants to donate to us.
A parking lot sign in Stockton, California shows the evening's intentions. Tonight, the Lost Riders MC will hold their annual crab feed, a benefit for the Allen Short Center. Both singly and in groups, the Lost Riders gather for a fun evening together. You can even get some drinks a la carte if you like. We caught up again with Charles Tyler and his friends to talk more about the Riders and charity event.
We started this crab feed this is actually our 10th annual crab feed, and we started this relationship with Allen Short Center about 4 years ago. And we've gone from 110 people. We used to do it at the Moose Lodge, and we had to get a bigger venue because people wanted to come. And we actually had people upset that they couldn't buy tickets. So last year we did 220 people. Then this year we've expanded to 350, and we still ran out of tickets. So it's a good cause. People recognize it, and the club is getting recognized for it. And so it's a great opportunity to help your community and do what we like to do. We're a very patriotic club, and we're just the working blue collar guys, but we want to help out in our community besides ride our motorcycles. So that's kind of what we're all about. Well, it was a dream of my buddy Doc and his wife Kim. We've actually known each other 25, 30 years. And our kids grew up together. We played baseball. They played baseball together. We coached together. And then as the kids got older, we always wanted to ride. And so after the kids grew up, we got our motorcycles, and it was Doc's dream to start his own club. And so he got a bunch of friends together that all rode, and the differences in our club is that the women have patches, and they have an equal vote, and they ride with the club because our wives wanted to ride with us. And so we developed a club with the help of Alan Parks, which was a HA guy, got us through, got our colors, and may he rest in peace. He is a very good friend of Doc's, and I'll let him explain that to you because it was Doc's dream about putting this together. We've been together since March of 2004, so it's 2017. So 13 years, we're doing pretty good.
Well, me and my wife, we've been riding together ever since we met, 30 years. Been married 26 years. But anyway, we'd ride together, and a lot of the clubs don't like women wearing patches and so forth. So we wanted to do our own co-ed club, so the women could wear the patch and ride along with the side of us. No, we ride year round. This is our 10th annual crab feed. Prior to that, we had a couple of fundraisers. We sold little raffle tickets that sell TVs, but this is our 10th annual crab feed now. Oh yeah, we go every 5 years on the 5th anniversary. Been there 5 times now. So, same with Charles. He's been with us every time as well.
My name is Tony D. Vengeful Saints president. Been together 7+ years. Got a good group of men, straightforward men, annual barbecues, charity runs, a lot of donations, homeless shelters, women's shelter, unprivileged children. We give away countless bicycles every Christmas, and a lot of money donated to the American Cancer Society also. We got invited, Lost Riders invite us every year, and we invite them to our event coming up next week. It's our annual barbecue where we make our funds to pay the bills we gotta pay and our money we donate throughout the year. We got 18 plus right now. Long rides coming up. We will be doing here about April, taking off and coming back when we don't know when yet.
Been Lost Riders for 11 years now. It's my husband, friends, all of them are family, and I consider them all my family. We got a lot of rides coming up, and what we'll do after we get done with this function is we will present a check to the Allen Short Center, and with that, over the last 4 years, they've been able to buy a van, which has helped out all of the people going to the program. It's a really good cause. The motivation was to be in a club where men and women were treated equally, and it's worked out for us. We all work hard during the week, and then when the weekends come up, we love to ride and we love to do things for our area. We also do canned food drives. There's a lot of things that we do as a group, and we're always looking to help out our community.
The riders all chow down and enjoy a crab dinner together. Next to them is the raffle prize table with items geared to bikers. In addition to this are biker door prizes and also the silent auction for the Allen Short Center. Kudos to the Lost Riders for this benefit. A quiet cemetery in Fresno, California sees a local rider laid to rest. A biker was on a ride in the nearby hill country when he suddenly had a heart attack and died. His passing draws a large and sorrowful crowd of fellow bikers. The rider was Greg French, whose death at age 55 is all too soon for his loved ones. They have shown up in a large riding group to pay their last respects. This show of support is characteristic of the greater riding community, which watches out constantly for other riders. The advent of social media means that Greg's passing became known very quickly, as was the outpouring of sympathy for his family. We talked to some of his riding friends at the reception following the graveside service.
My relationship, that I was a brother of Greg French, what we call a biker brother. I was with him on this ride, on actually the last ride before when he had his heart attack. Unfortunately, I was ahead of the group and everything, so I didn't quite know what happened until afterwards, when he was pulled over and they were doing CPR on him. And that's when I found out what happened, that he had a massive heart attack and he passed away. This is something for me to get back to the family and to get the brothers and sisters of the motorcycle community together to do the celebration of life ride from his house to the cemetery, and from the cemetery back to here. And that's what we did. So I would say we probably had around 85, 90 bikes. Probably half of those probably had a passenger on the back. So we had a good turnout. I would say and with family members and friends that don't ride, we probably had a good turnout, about 200.
I met him the first time when we were 17 years old, and then we went off and had our own lives, got married, had kids, and then we reconnected about 3 years ago. I've always loved them. In the beginning I rode sport bikes, I guess you would call them. Back then they were Kawasaki 500s, and they didn't call them sport bikes, but and I just always loved bikes. I went to Laughlin last year. It was really windy. And then we went to Santa Cruz. My son goes to UC Santa Cruz, and we rode over there one day for the clam chowder cook-off. That was interesting, going over the Pacheco Pass. It was my first time solo over that kind of territory. When we went to Laughlin, I rode on the back. We are just members of HOG, Harley Owners Group, and then I belong to Lady Bikers of California. It's not a club, so to speak. It's more like just a bunch of women get together from California and we ride. We Fresno hosted the last International Female Ride Day, and so 300 women on bikes came. We all got together at the Ramada Inn by the airport and did International Female Ride Day together, and it was pretty awesome.
I met him via friends riding. About a year and a half, 2 years. My own bike I've been riding since June of 2015. I have a 2015 Harley Switchback. Lady Bikers of California, also Women Riders of California.
Just a riding bike. I have a 05 Softail. We're going to do a fundraiser for one of our riders with cancer.
At Lady Bike Nights, he comes to, he supported us. He's an awesome friend, awesome rider. I ride a 750 Shadow at the moment, Shadow Arrow. I've owned everything except a Harley or a Indian. I had a 650 Triumph at 16 years old with a 6-foot front end extension. I've known nothing but bikes, dirt bikes. They put me on a dirt bike when I was 7, a Honda 300, and I couldn't reach the ground. They said, just go around the track. When you want to stop, we'll catch you. And I just kept going around the track. I want a bike. Next thing you knew, for Christmas, I had a bike. I was always mostly a lone rider. I did, 2 years ago, start a group on Facebook called Lady Bikers of California. We're over 700 strong. We have a few people in Nevada, a few in Oregon, all the way down to Baja. And it's all lady riders, everybody that rides at the front of the bike, their bike, and it's just, I've been riding alone for so many years. I've rode with groups, but as a lady, you are riding the back, or they don't want to ride with you. And I've had beer cans thrown at me, and spit on, and cigarettes, and run off the road by people, because back in the 70s it was different. And now I decided it's time. I want to ride with people, and I want to ride with ladies. And everywhere I go, I see ladies passing me, and I'm going, where are they going? I want to know where they're going. I'm running errands. I'm going to work. Are they doing that, or are they riding by themselves? So I started the group, and the ladies started coming in, and the best friendships. They've saved my life. We've saved each other's life. We've been through deaths together. We've been through accidents together, and we're a family. We love each other no matter what MC you're in or not in. We just like to take care of each other and ride.
The man George mentioned who is fighting cancer is JC, present here for an interview.
Well, basically, I got diagnosed with cancer in February of 2016, and some of my local biker buddies decided that they would throw a poker run basically in my name. All done without my knowledge, of course, but you can only keep a secret in this town for so long, especially in the biker community. So eventually I found out about it, and unfortunately the gentleman that decided the gentleman that decided to do this poker run for me today was his funeral. Our moms used to work together, and then of course we met as children roller skating primarily before we got into motorcycles. Actually, since I don't have insurance, you're just part of the system, so you're kind of kicked around for a while. I got diagnosed in February, and they didn't decide to operate on me until almost April. They're assuming at this point that they did catch it all in time. The cancer markers are actually starting to decline. Got to do blood work every 2 weeks, and got to do CT scans every couple of months just for verification purposes. I'm primarily a study, I guess, of the old school. I prefer the homeopathic remedies. I've been riding motorcycles for 45 years. I was a rider coach for the MSF and the CHP. I basically log about 33,000 miles a year riding. I have had my fair share of accidents. I've been hit by 4 cars. I road race motorcycles, so I drag my knee on the ground at well over 100 miles an hour. I've never had a motorcycle accident due to my own accord. It's always been a vehicle either doing a lane change or talking on a phone that's caused it. And I have lost 23 friends due to motorcycle related accidents. I think a lot of it is, unfortunately, technology has its pros and its cons, and I feel a lot of it right now is the con issue. People are too busy paying attention to the cell phone. I would like to see, and this is one topic that I did bring up being a motorcycle safety coach, is I think everybody should have to take a motorcycle safety class. Whether you decide to ride a motorcycle or not, you at least need to sit in on the classroom portion so you can see what the rest of us have to deal with on a daily basis. I was almost ran over here this morning on my way here. 5 bikers were all cruising with me, and this lady literally tried to run me over. Now the funny thing is, when we basically blocked her in, I did sock her car and she wouldn't even look at me. But my whole deal is, you see us, the lane funnels into one lane. Why would you literally be this far away from my butt trying to force me off the road at 8 o'clock in the morning?
We caught up with Terry Hendricks' group, the Lady Bikers of California. This organization held its annual gathering at the Ramada Inn of Fresno on International Female Ride Day, the first Saturday of May. The Lady Bikers of California, or LBOC, has one primary objective: encourage women to ride. It appears to be working, judging from the numerous cruiser bikes parked around the hotel. The LBOC initiates their own rides, and lots of rides are arranged by these ladies individually during the year. Many of the riders came in from the Central Valley of California, while others rode in from farther away. We spoke with some of the members of the Lady Bikers at the hotel.
My husband's always ridden motorcycles since he was like 15 years old. And we joined a club when he was able to get another motorcycle after being off for several years, and I rode on the back. But a lot of the people we were riding with had wives that were riding their own, and they kept telling me I could do it. Well, I'm thinking, no, I'm too short, can't find a bike that fits. And he figured out how to do it, and for Valentine's Day about 30 years ago, he bought me a Vulcan 750. And after 10 years of riding that, I saved up all my money and bought my first Harley, which was a Dyna Lowrider. And then I've had 2 Fat Boys since, and I'm still on my purple Fat Boy. It works out great because it is a lowered bike. It was easy to lower, and then I changed the seat out to a Mustang seat, and it's working out great. I love it. We've had to change out the handlebars about 3 times in order to find a set that was comfortable. Ride. That's the whole premise of the whole thing, is to, ride your bike. And I usually do 2 rides with them a year. I do Cha-Cha's ride, which is the Valentine's ride to Harris Ranch, and then this one. There's a couple of rides that my husband and I like to do every year. One of them is the Dia de los Muertos ride for the Shriners Club. And it is a poker hand ride, and it goes from cemetery to cemetery to get your poker hand. And then when you get back, there's a Chili Verde cook-off contest, and everybody gets to sample all the different Chili Verdes, and then they vote on it.
I have an 01 Heritage Softail. I don't know, it doesn't feel big to me. I like back roads with, windy curves and stuff, but I just like to ride anywhere, really. As much as I can get on my bike, I do. Well, I'm from here. Recently moved, and where I live now, it's been very difficult because I basically don't know anybody there that rides. But here, it was so easy. In the Fresno area, I met Terry. I know a lot of women riders in the area. So, well, there was a little girl that we rode for, and she had many different health issues, and she lit up when we all pulled in. No, the most memorable one, I can't remember her name, it was Zaina or something, and a little girl with leukemia, and it was a very last minute, you were talking about that, posted on Facebook, and about 300 bikes showed up.
Since I was in Sturgis in 2015, since I was there in 2003, I have to say I really enjoy the rallies, but there's something about just going. The smells in the air that you feel, and the wind and everything. You get everything absorbed into your body. You become one with nature. So it doesn't matter where I'm going. We want our rights, we want our freedoms. We want our Second Amendment, we want our freedom of speech. We want to stop being told what we can and have to do to appease the government. I'm sorry. We hired you. You're employees of us. We're not employees of you. Do you walk into restaurants, which I've proven this fact, if you're dressed with leathers on and that, they kind of look at you a little sideways. And you go back to that dressed up nice, and they treat you completely different. It's profiling still going on. But most of the restaurants that take good care of the bikers know that we got deep pockets. We have big hearts too. Being a female, I don't think I've been profiled. I actually, the police and that, I don't think look at me that way. What they're more after is our brothers that have clubs and the MCs, which, unless you're doing something wrong, they need to stop profiling on that. We all run our own choices, even cars and that. They go after the ones that, I don't know, how would you say, look outlawish. Stop that.